Good evening. Monday night, just past 9 o'clock at night, and that can mean only one thing. Colts football is back. Unfortunately, nobody told Shane Steichen as the Colts lost 20-23 in overtime in KC, and the offense just forgot we was back off bye week as they completely disappeared in the second half. There's loads to take away from this game, I think. Now I've managed to sit back and compartmentalize it. I've got a few thoughts and maybe a few less emotional thoughts than what I had at the end of the game. But Nathan, your headline opinions?
I think, there's a few headlines and I think you put it perfectly. This was a tough loss. It's very rare that I go completely silent on a Sunday night. And I just did, I didn't want to talk about football really. I barely even struggled to watch the 9 o'clock games, that's not a thing in my place, on Sunday nights. I think the highlights were, why, or I guess you could argue that Shane Steichen's building a little bit of a brand right now that when the pressure gets high, he just can't handle it. And yesterday I think really showed that. He called one run play, and I'm sure we'll get to this in more detail, but he called one run play, I think, on 2 of the 3 and outs, or I think it was one run play in 9. Spags was destroying Daniel Jones and putting him under immense pressure. And yet again, we saw, the abandonment of the run game, and we just saw, for me, setting your quarterback up to fail. Also, I've been watching this sport since 2008, and I have never experienced such a bad commentary display than I did Tony Romo yesterday. How CBS think that's a product the fans want to experience, I will never know.
We can talk about the elephant in the room first, because I actually think there's some decent good to take out of the game, and I want to save that and not just lump it in with this, and this deserves its own place. And for me, this is a problem through all sports and all content creation at the minute. And there's a soccer reaction channel called Terry Flaws, I'm pretty sure, on YouTube. Really good. I like watching his stuff because he's a Man United fan, but his genuine opinion is always consistent and neutral, and he always holds the same view. And the same view is stuff like this kills the game. Now, in my piece I wrote, I called Tony Romo a cowboy, because over here in the UK, for our American listeners, that's someone who does a terrible job. We call him a cowboy. And it was. So I have no problem with him saying what he thinks is a penalty or what he doesn't think is a penalty. I have no problem with him breaking down a play. I have a massive problem with him being egregious that the Chiefs got a penalty. How dare the referees throw a flag against the Chiefs? That was his tone. And that's where the chief broadcasting fucking services, CBS, it was disgusting that I think even Jim Nantz just didn't say anything. Didn't say a word. I think that speaks volumes, eh?
I completely agree. Nantz was way more reserved than he usually was. And I know from listening to some other podcasts that Romo has admitted either this week or last week that he's almost realizing that his ability to call a game in like an interesting manner is struggling right now. He needs to refine his feet. He's kind of admitted that he's become a little bit of a meme. But when you are vocally and clearly as well, vocally disappointed when things aren't going the way for Kansas and Patrick Mahomes, as you said, audibly frustrated at penalty calls, kind of reacting like a fan. The OPI on Travis Kelce in the third quarter, I quote, "That's the worst call I've ever seen in the history of the game."
The worst call ever.
That's a starting quarterback in the NFL. That, up until yesterday, was the all-time passing yard leader for the Dallas Cowboys. And he's equating an OPI call that backs Patty and the boys up 5 yards over his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
And the bit that got me the most was it was very clear that the momentum was changing to Kansas City, in the third and the fourth, and, they were driving on us. And he sort of said a line like, oh, this is just inevitable, Patrick's so good and Kansas City are just so good. But don't get me wrong, the Colts have proved that they're good too, and I really like them. I was like, what? You sound like a guy down the pub. Why are you commentating on like our sport, right? And everybody's sport. How is this a good enough product?
And see, right. I thought JJ Watt's commentary of the Colts Cardinals, was it before the Falcons?
Yeah.
Was fantastic.
Yeah.
And if there was anyone in the commentary world that had a right to hate the Indianapolis Colts, it's JJ Watt, a divisional rival. As I'm sure everyone, we all respect JJ Watt, and he did, but he's a Texan, so with all due respect, he can go fuck himself. I've always preferred TJ Watt, but I get to say that because I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. I can sit there watching that game last night going, that was a playoff caliber game, and Kansas City, I know they called them, Kansas City had shown that they've been there before. That was as simple as it was for me. The Colts haven't been there before, so we got a little bit scared, and we just didn't have the experience to close the game out. We have DeForest Buckner. I think it's a different game. I have a problem with a professional pundit not being professional. Now, you can sit there and say, wow, what a play, or I don't agree with that call. Again, not a problem. I thought the face mask call on the Chiefs offensive guard was, we got a call. I'm not naive enough to turn around and say we didn't get bailed out there. We did. But as soon as we got that call, everything went the Chiefs' way.
Yeah, it did.
And the annoyance for me, and I'm really trying to keep this level-headed because this is what infuriated me. Grover Stewart is a 300 and odd pound man. If he wanted to put his weight, a weight issue, if he wanted to put his weight on Patrick Mahomes would not get back up. It's as simple as that. That and the one on, was it Nick Cross, I believe?
Yep.
They are insane roughing the passer call. They're not, and this isn't, and like I say, I reference my blog again, this is like playing Fergie's Man United at Old Trafford or Pets. It's not rigged, but are they going to get a penalty? That's not a penalty. Yes.
It does feel like that. And just touching on the roughing the passer calls, I mean, what's become frustrating with Patrick is how much he moans to referees, and like events happen and he's just immediately looking at the refs and he's almost call my roughing the passer, you're not allowed to touch me. Yeah. That's the feeling I get. If that was Chris Jones on tackling Daniel Jones, we wouldn't have got that play. No. We wouldn't have got that penalty. It would have just been get on with it. And Romo would have been fucking, going, oh my God, Chris Jones, best tackle to ever play the game. This is bit Jim, or the shit that he does all the time. That's all we would have heard. And really interestingly, right? One of my pals who you met in Berlin, actually, the Giants fan, he messaged me with the Nick Cross play call. So again, this is a Giants fan, has no affiliation to Indy or
It's a
Kansas
right
City.
to be annoyed at Indy.
Yeah. And he was like, Nate, what's Cross meant to do there? He was like, you can see he slowed down, which extended the play.
He tackled him.
Yeah.
He tackled him, mate. Like, and Tony Romo screaming for a face mask, what wasn't a face mask, because one went against his team. Is that face mask that got called on Sauce Gardner was the referee simply saying, well, I have to give you one now. And that's for me, to switch it onto the referees, because I'm sick of talking about fucking shite pundits and players. For me, you can't go into the mindset of, I need to even this out now. You can get a call wrong. I'm not afraid. Sorry, just a comment here. I'll bring it up when it comes up then. From Chris, nice to hear from you, Chris. Yeah, joining the conversation, and thanks for watching along tonight. Means a lot. Yesterday was the Colts versus Tony. Yeah, it definitely felt like 11 versus 12.
It did.
And like I say, I'm not blaming the penalties for the loss. I think Shane Steichen is at fault for the loss. I want to make that extremely clear. And I can look and say, we got a lucky call against Denver. Whenever you've ever seen that flagged, it doesn't get flagged. That was a lucky call. And we shouldn't have got it, but we did. You know, like I say, on the touchdown, the Chiefs' first touchdown, we shouldn't have got that call. We did. Calls can go for and against you. I believe it's complete swings and roundabouts. And as much as I don't want to say there's a conspiracy, and, you know, you look at what's happening in the NBA, you look at what's happening in the Turkish Super League in soccer, it just straight up plays into them conspiracy theories, and it gives them life and it gives them breath. And everybody watching that game or had any sense knew that Patrick Mahomes was getting the call before it even started.
But interestingly, the first rough in the passer call, the disgusting one that was called on Grove, when that happened, fans were tweeting that were at the stadium that the stadium, like Tycatron, didn't show the play. How suspect is that?
It didn't. Like,
they just sort of tucked it under the carpet and went, go on, go to the next play. That is suspect to me.
Yeah. I don't even know what the ref's seen there. This is the scary thing is, mate, like, this isn't the thing, because you sound mental when you say it out loud, don't you? Like, that's the problem. That you end up looking like the crazy one saying there is no God. What annoys me is our offense wasn't at the best yesterday. Our defense played lights out, really did play lights out. And it's just been all that effort the defense has been put in was ruined because the referee liked Kansas. And
yeah.
You know, that's all I can put it down to. I've really tried, like, working this out and, like, really buying it. Okay, was it a penalty? Could it have been given a penalty? How would I feel? And I always try and judge it, Nathan, by how would you feel if it was given for your team, and how would you feel if it was given against your team?
I think honestly, it'd feel wrong.
You'd feel like you got one, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you'd be like, fucking hell, I'll take it.
It'd make me feel a bit like, well, the game's gone. You know, it's a very UK saying, isn't it? You know, the game's gone. But it almost is, because when you're not allowed to tackle one quarterback out of 32, the game is gone.
Yeah.
It's done. And it shouldn't matter who you have. It could be Joe Flacco, it could be,
Yeah.
Cam Ward, it could be Caleb, it could be the first overall pick next year. You just simply cannot have it that refereeing teams are penalising players simply when they tackle Patrick Mahomes. You just can't.
And, again, to make myself clear here, we watched Anthony Richardson get his head slammed off the ground against the Titans. Slammed off the ground. What was the narrative then? It's the way he plays. He doesn't protect himself. I remember it very clearly. No flag. So you shouldn't, as a referee, you shouldn't be going, oh, that's Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, that's a foul. Your mind as a referee is going, that's a quarterback. That's a D tackle. He's tackled him. It shouldn't have names or connotations. And you've given it because you bottled it. It's as simple as that. You've seen what they've done is looked at the big team. Oh, that wasn't a face mask. You could have called it for illegal use of hands to the face. Wasn't a face mask, but it could have been a penalty. But then, to wrap it up on this now, because I just think what it does make you think, what's the point? If the 8-2 Colts are just going to get cheated out of a game because Vegas had decided it's better that Kansas is in the playoffs. Do you know what I mean? Like, they need Kansas City in the playoffs and it sells tickets. You don't want to go down that crazy route of being a conspiracist. But when you have a look at what's happening around the world in all elite sports at the minute, it just gives that conspiracy life, and that's the disappointing thing.
But to try to be somewhat balanced, right? Like last year, I was definitely in on the conspiracy that the NFL were incentivizing the officiating team of Kansas games to make them win. I was 100% like all years on that conspiracy, right? This year is interesting because Kansas have lost one-score games this year. If you go look at their scores and you go look at their performance, they are on the losing end of them this year. So kind of, the conspiracy theorists are probably trying to find something new. What I don't think you can deny as a football fan is when you watch those calls, when you watch Patrick looking at refs, looking furious that he isn't, or almost expectant, where is the flag? Let me see it. That's what you kind of can't deny. And just the way that, I know we're not going to talk about it anymore, but like the way that a, gazillion-dollar broadcasting channel has gone, this is okay.
Yeah.
They're just normalizing it. They're just normalizing it. And let's hope we have another shot in January.
Yeah. It's just one of them. Like I say, I don't want to go on about it too much because you end up sounding like the madman. Do you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it's and I think last bit on the rest. That player who threw a blindside block on Mooney Ward after he's just come back from a concussion, how was that not targeting?
Yeah.
How was that? He led with his helmet to helmet, from the blind side to a player that's just come back from concussion. That's not, I'm stopping this man from making a tackle or whatever. That's, I'm going to hurt this player. And for me, it's go on.
One more hilarious ref call as well that I think only happens for Kansas City is the fact that they reviewed Rashee Rice being out of bounds catching a ball.
Out of bounds.
Literally laying out of the end zone, but yet the ref still took a few seconds to review it. Just strengthens
How
your
did
point,
one even call it?
I know. Well, the line judge on the right called it out and the line judge on the left called it in, didn't he? from memory. So,
Yeah.
you know, why do you review that? I don't know. But yeah.
But anyway, enough of the rest, because, like I say, I don't put the loss down to the rest, but they certainly made it as hard as they could for the Colts. Onto the game itself. Let's start with the negative, because I want a positive, and I think I want to give someone some good airtime who I think deserves it and actually did step up a lot. But first of all, Shane Steichen, man, like that for me, that's the sort of game you go, is he a good head coach or is he just a good coordinator?
Yep.
Because
yep.
First of all, as well, credit to Spagnuolo. Wow, like what a defense, what a coordinator. He's obviously found his place in KC, and he's doing a lot of good with that defense. And you have to sometimes just give credit to the opposition team when they do something well. But for Shane Steichen to just put us in a position not to kill the game, and the punt on 4th and 1 around the halfway line, that's where Kansas won this game. They treated it like a playoff. We didn't, and we didn't want to match that intensity and that like desperateness to go and win it. So I don't know what you thought about Shane, the play calling, the offense.
I thought he was really poor. I'm really poor when it mattered too. We were talking about it off air, and I'm happy to, if anybody's watching and wants to correct me, do it. I'm more than happy to. But in our losses this year, Taylor has ran, I think it's like something like 16, 15, and 17, maybe 13 in one game, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes sport gets overcomplicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you've got the number one running back in the league who just single-handedly destroyed the Atlanta Falcons, who has had a bye week and is currently in conversation to become the MVP, if you were a play caller, Harrison, would you scheme him in?
I'd go full Frank Reich.
Yes, right? Where or at what point does it become more complex than that? Mm-hmm. And again, let's try to be balanced. There was a few run calls where we got stuffed behind the line. I thought Gonzalez had a tough night against Chris Jones. Any young guard is going to have a tough time against Chris Jones, right? But it's just simply inexcusable when you're running the number one offense in the NFL. Let's please take a minute to recognize that. We are the number one offense in the American Football League. And we 3-and-outed 3 times. And we left our defense on the field for half an hour. It felt like half an hour. And the 4th and 1, I'm really glad you brought up, because, this year we've kind of talked about Shane as almost normalizing going for it on 4th. Mm-hmm. It's become, as a Colts fan, I don't even feel nervous about it anymore. So I feel nervous about the fact that we're not going to convert it.
Yeah.
But I don't feel nervous about the decision anymore, because I'm like, it's Shane. He's aggressive. I like it. If we fuck it up, we fuck it up. To not do it in that situation was inexcusable. He had this QB sneak in his bag. And again, let's not overcomplicate football. Bring in an extra lineman, bring in the run block crew, and run it behind Nelson.
It's not hard.
Just run it behind Nelson.
You'll get 1 yard running behind Quentin Nelson.
I know.
I would get 1 yard running behind Quentin Nelson.
Yeah. I think another negative for me was, I guess, the lead off, Shane, was Daniel Jones. I want to be really balanced again here. Mm-hmm. Shane put him under an unnecessary amount of pressure last night. It was horrible to watch at times. However, there were a few throws he's just got to make them. And what he can't do is he's like reminding me of a rookie at times, or I guess the Daniel Jones that we kind of know and we're also scared to pay lots of money to. That throw into triple coverage, what are you thinking? What are you seeing on that?
And
Like,
this, sorry, just got a comment from Chris. Shane has been saying all year run to win and wants to stay aggressive, but then in crunch time, in a big game, he completely goes away from it. So yeah, so I'm glad Chris has brought that up because pre-game I wrote in my blog, expect Shane's Tycoon to take points when points are available, and to punt when you have to punt, and it's so frustratingly annoying because he did what I asked him to do, but he just had to go for it on 4th and 1. Daniel's a big guy, tush push. The whole league's doing it. They left it inside Kansas City because we went into the shotgun on a 3rd and 1 instead of just QB sneak. You will get it. If not, your defense is playing lights out. Like, I think with Shane, and this has been my worry, and I think I said to you guys, when you're going up against these elite schemers in Spagnuolo, we got to play the Texans next week. DeMarco Ryans has a great defensive scheme and is a great coordinator at that. And when you've only got a good quarterback, I'll be very clear when I say this about Danny Dimes. When the good quarterback, I mean, top 10, top 15 quarterback Daniel Jones at the minute, top 10.
I mean, you could say he was until the last 3 games, in my opinion. He's operating at like 64% completion rate in the last 3 games.
A lot of teams around like who are going to be picking 2nd, 3rd, and 4th and 5th would take Daniel Jones.
Yeah, he's playing at an above average level right now.
Yeah. And he's never going to be Anthony Richardson's ceiling. He's never going to be that. Anthony Richardson's ceiling is sky high, right? But he's just not going to get there because he's too inconsistent. Daniel Jones is your 7 out of 10, Mr. Reliable, always turns up on time, never gets fined by the team captains. Shane needs to elevate him. For me, it wasn't up to Daniel Jones to elevate the team yesterday. It was up to Shane to elevate Daniel Jones. And joining us to explain to us why Daniel Jones is still the man is a familiar face, Robbie. How's it going, mate? Before I get your initial headliners, mate, I know you're a big cricket fan. It's not going well at the minute, I've heard.
Fuck me. Should I just turn off now?
For those who don't know, I'm referring to the Ashes.
Yes, mate. Game 1 wasn't very good, but it's going to be a 5-0. Always happens down under. It is what it is. But yeah, thanks for ruining the night, mate. Yeah, thanks for starting a negative.
Speaking of ruining the night, was your night ruined last night, or have you managed to compartmentalise it a bit and sort of take a step back and admire the club being 8-3?
Last night was an NFL game. I think you got to appreciate Arrowhead and what it does in the 4th quarter when the Chiefs are attacking the game. It 5 years ago they were the loudest stadium I think in the world when they did the decibel tests.
Yeah.
I think you need to give more credit to the Chiefs defense, and when it comes to crunch time, they executed and we didn't. Daniel Jones, I was in the back room in the green room such when you were saying about he's a top 10 quarterback. I'd say he's a below average quarterback that's been playing above his station for the first half of the season. And I think what the teams have got now, they've got more tape on him. They only had tape on him from the Giants, but they've got game tape on him in a cult system. And a couple of them throws in that 4th quarter, even in overtime, I think they wanted him. I think he'd like a few of them back. But, you know, we've had this chat loads of times, Harrison, about what do you need in terms of a quarterback. If you've got a good Arsenal around him, you only need that middle of the ground quarterback, you know, and there's enough Arsenal around him. I think the game and the moment got to a team who have not been there so you know, the Colts have not been in this 8-2. They've not been in a position of knowing how to win, and your team have to know how to win. They have to learn how to win, and they need to learn how to win in these harsh environments.
Yeah.
And, you know, yesterday was a step back, but it could be that learning experience that you need to go on.
Yeah.
You know, we're still a very, very young team, and this could be a very good learning experience. So when it comes to the playoffs, which are still going to make, I think there could be really good experience for them.
Yeah. It's a good, you've managed to take the silver lining out of yesterday's offense somehow. But no, we were just sort of talking. I mean, and again, you've only just joined, so I don't want to rehash it all. But your experience of the commentary, the referees, is that just the way it is?
Right. No. So in overtime, something I noticed, the Colts' first drive started off with a good run. Yep. The Chiefs started off with a good run. Tony Romo and his vernacular over the two drives, Colts were playing safe. The Chiefs on the first run, wow, look at them opening up the field. There was a definite language differential between the two. But the NFL isn't a sport, it's a business.
Yeah.
The Chiefs sell more advertising than what the Colts ever will.
You sure?
Absolutely.
It's got to be close. Right, they have Taylor Swift, we have Carly Ursay Gordon. Like, it's close.
And so I think that comes with it as well. I think whether it's forced bias or just because Romo probably has watched more Chiefs, but I've never liked Romo in the box. I've like when he first came, he tried being clever, calling plays before they happened. Yeah, that worked well for the first season, and since then, I don't really think he offers much. So
that's fine.
So have that, Romo, you bum.
Yeah. Like I say, I'm not going to force everyone to rehash it all every 2 minutes because enough will be said about it. But so I just want to. I know, Nathan, you've got to go in about 5 minutes, so we'll get your final thoughts. Obviously, there will be a Thursday show where we'll deep dive Week 13 and what's coming up with the Texans. But your final thoughts on the game, Nathan?
I think it's really easy to potentially say that the defense were bad. I thought the defense were excellent. I thought there were some real standout players. Sauce Gardner being one. I don't think Patrick looked his way, until the fourth quarter. He was just completely eliminating, his opposite. I thought Jermaine Pratt was outstanding. Filled a hole backer that's needed filling for about 3 seasons. And when you're Jermaine Pratt and you're finding yourself covering the likes of Rice and Worthy, over the middle of the field, you're gonna lose that. And as fans, we go, screw Jermaine Pratt. Like, how has that happened? It's happened because that's sport.
He should have never been put there, mate.
If I had to chase, Anthony Elanga, I'd lose. I would lose that race, and people could be mad at me for it. But I'm not as fast as him. It's kind of basic physics, isn't it? I thought Franklin.
Nathan, can I just jump in there?
Yeah.
Like, Nathan, of all the players in the world, why would you go to Elanga?
Man, I'm just true to my Geordie faith, and he's kind of hasn't performed.
Out of every player you could have ever gone for in any sport, you went for Elanga.
Dan Burn, mate. You could have chosen Dan Burn.
But I could probably.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, it was beautiful.
I could race Dan Burn in a race. I couldn't race Anthony Elanga. I thought Zaire Franklin was excellent. We're finally seeing him step up and kind of, take over plays like we kind of, hope and dream he could. You just simply can't expect to run with Kansas City when your defense has been on the field for 28 and a half minutes. I think that's what it worked out to over the third and fourth quarter.
That's just the whole second half.
Yeah.
And
in short, Shane's got to be better under pressure. I don't think he's going to take the step forward.
That, mate. He tells us every week.
I just don't think he's going to take the, like, it's okay to call him, like Romo was kind of glazing him, wasn't he? He's like a football expert and, he lives and breathes for, but you got to start beating some elite teams. And if you don't, you're going to go, and I like Shane Steichen. I think he's excellent, but the last 3 weeks, he's looked really poor under pressure. Yeah. Really poor.
And I'm sorry, we've just spent a lot of money getting one of the best cornerbacks in the game. It's a business, and Carly Gordon has to be ruthless. And if she doesn't think Shane can take us up a level, then move on. We can't afford to wait. We've made our gamble. We can't afford to wait.
Let me give you a proposition before I'll do a bit of a mic drop, right?
I like this.
2 weeks ago, the Detroit Lions were down 14. And Dan Campbell walked up to his play caller and said, "Screw you, I'm calling plays now."
Yeah.
They then went on to score 45. Would you like to see Jim Bob Cooter call plays for a game?
Has Jim Bob Cooter been any good at calling plays?
So
his career?
This offense is primarily Cooter's offense. Shane just calls the plays.
Yeah. So it's his scheme, but Shane calls the plays. Yeah.
I'll leave you with that. I'm going to dip out. Robbie, it's great to see you back on the airwaves, man. I'm happy you're here. I can't wait to get your thoughts. I'm going to tune in while you're here. And I'll catch you Thursday, Harrison.
Yeah, see you Thursday.
See you guys.
Bye.
Yeah, bud.
So
I've got an interesting take on that.
Go on.
I think at this stage of the season, when you're 8-2, and we've turned into a bit of a fart in a thunderstorm at certain parts of games, haven't we?
Yeah.
Having someone new call the plays, because it'll be a different thought process. It will be the same plays, but in a different pattern, and there'll be slight changes. I think that could catch people off guard.
Yeah. I think... So my approach to it is a lot of my approach when it comes to management and leadership, which is it actually has fuck all to do with the job. And as a head coach, you're not there to call the perfect play. You're not there to scheme up the perfect system. You're there. God, this sounds so. I'm gonna scare you a bit here, Robbie. This sounds so Jeff Saturday. You're there to make sure the right people are in the right place at the right. You're leading. You're not. You're not at the front of the troops leading the cavalry. You're sat at the back going, well, actually, they're blitzing us from that bit, so I need to either call a timeout because I don't like the look, or Daniel Jones, with all his experience, needs to go, well, actually, I can feel the pressure coming from here. Let's just check into a run. We'll take 1-2 yards. We'll live to fight another day. I don't know, because I think for me, it's an emotional problem with Shane. And this has sort of been my stance on him for a long time, that he's great, right? He's a bit like a Jurgen Klopp. And what I mean by that, I know we have a lot of UK viewers, but what I mean by that for our American fans is he's great when you're winning. Fantastic when you're winning, and everyone pressing, everyone wants to run through a brick wall for him. But when it gets tough and when it gets annoying and things get a bit antsy and stuff, he does as well. Now, that can either create your siege mentality where you go, we've got to really and probably at Lucas Oil Stadium, it probably does create a bit of a siege mentality, get the fans up, get them on the back. But when you're away from home, when you're in these deep, thick games and the calls aren't going your way and you're not getting the breaks, you need someone to just go, hold on a minute, boys, let's just take a deep breath. Plenty of time left. Let's just get back to basics. And I think, for me, that's the problem with Shane. He doesn't seem to be able to come down from 11 to go, let's just come down 7. Let's just run one play.
There was 4, maybe 5 drives yesterday where we could have killed the game.
Yeah.
And it just comes down to execution. This, we'll never know if it was Daniel Jones or if it was the calls, the plays. We'll never know that from being on the outside. But it looked very disjointed again.
Yeah. It felt very last year.
Jesus, like Ogletree got his second catch of the season yesterday in overtime. And that was just for a flat. It went out left to the flat, didn't it? It's like, if that's all we've got left in our arsenal, something's not quite happy. But as I say, there's lots of positives to take out of that. I know the Chiefs have had an up and down season, but when the backs off against Arrowhead, that place is amazing. And
they are still the Chiefs.
Yeah, they are an elite team, and they'll still be there or thereabouts come Super Bowl time.
Patrick Mahomes has never not been to the AFC game. Is that right? AFC Championship game, something like that? Or he's never not been to the playoffs, and he's been like to...
I think playoffs, yeah. I think the first year, I think they got to the playoffs, if I remember correctly.
Did we beat them that year in the playoffs?
Yeah, mate, it's been that long since the Colts been in the playoffs.
I can't remember if we actually beat them in the playoffs. I might be thinking of would have been a different Chief quarterback that then. Well, anyway, yeah, because it was because it was that Andrew Luck fumble recovery.
It wasn't a fumble. He did it on purpose. He bounced the ball. And I'm going by myself. See you later.
But no, I mean,
Alex Smith. Sorry, not Alex Jones.
Yeah. So this is the first time we've had a chance to catch up. So maybe now just get your thoughts on the season so far. I mean, a lot of us were predicting, not just us, but outside media, 4 wins, 3 wins. The Colts are picking a quarterback. This is the March for Arch. How are you feeling?
If you remember in the group chat, when we got Daniel Jones, I was like, this could be, I think I was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it could be a good thing. I just wanted a good tight end. That's all I thought we were missing from our attack, was a good tight end, and we got that.
Yeah.
And that definitely seems to be that kind of Jenga piece as such. I think there's games we've gone and won and been quite fortunate at times. I actually think this is a 5-5 team, but shouldn't have lost to the Steelers. We got punched in the mouth quite hard then. So, if someone said to me, who are the Colts right now, I'd say that we're a team that's building, and it's been a 2-season period of good, consistent building. I was thinking over there about Chris Ballard and his position, because he has delivered this year.
Yes, yeah,
and it's the first year for a long time. And I think you have to keep the ball rolling. But I think this year a good playoff is a great build from last year.
Yeah,
I don't buy into this. Oh, you've got an easy schedule this season. I don't believe that at all, because it's the NFL.
Yeah.
We have to play the Jaguars,
I'm looking at the
Titans, and Texans.
Just about to say, looking at the AFC South, mate, it's not an easy schedule when you have to play.
It's
Texans and the Jags.
Yeah, but they're not the elite. They're not the if we often talk about the top 10 quarterback. Well, it's actually the top 4. That's where you want to be aiming for. You want to be aiming for the championship games, the AFCs or the NFC for those on the other side.
Yeah.
And so where are we? I think we're an early playoff team.
Yeah.
I don't think after watching some of the harder games, we've got the minerals, the leadership, the experience to go that extra step. But that could come in a year. And I think next year, depending on finances and who we kind of re-sign, I think the defence needs a good, hearty look at what it's trying to achieve, because it seems the defence at the moment seems disjointed.
Yeah.
In terms of the secondary, I thought Pratt had a really good game yesterday. He got put in a couple of bad coverages by the schemes, but I thought he had a really positive game for his skill set and who he is and where kind of his ceiling is as a player. But I know we haven't spoken about this. I don't like that Sauce Gardner trade.
Okay.
I don't think he is worth that. I just don't like, me personally. I just don't think he's got the skill set to be that all out, all encompassing. Can take on the wide receiver across the league. Again, just my opinion.
I think it's tough because Chris Ballard was in a situation he was always going to have to overpay for someone. And I could sit here and say maybe it's a bit like going buying your Sunday dinner from Marks and Spencer's instead of Asda for one weekend. It is a bit pricey, but you do get nice food out of it. I think the job of Sauce Gardner was to stop quarterbacks being able to throw the ball in 3 seconds and help our pass rush get home. The problem is you could give our pass rush 15 seconds and they still don't get home. I think DeForest Buckner is we really needed DeForest Buckner for this last stretch. I can't stress how important losing the leadership of Buckner for this last part of the season is going to be on the Colts, and people better start strapping up because it's a long ride now. Yeah. It's a white knuckle roller coaster. No, but I could see, like, I did think it was an overpay, especially, could it have been a conditional first for the second one? Like a conditional first, second? I don't know, but...
Yeah, but like, it's hard because of where he was playing and what he had around him. He definitely played more snaps than the average player because of the team he was in. He's obviously come to a new, not a totally different system, very similar systems, but again, he's had to learn personnel and who's where and timings. But I think what I want to see from the defense next year is more big dogs. Really, just in terms of leadership.
I think it's fair to say our secondary hasn't been great when Liatu Latu is our leading interception player. You know what I mean? That's when I think you have the right to turn around and say somebody needs to step up and start making not just back downs or breakups or coverage. You need to start making plays now because we haven't got a defensive forefront
that can really make a difference. And I think our offense is so there, other than just adding an extra tight end, just as a backup. Like, 84 is my guy. He is everything I've dreamt of for the last 4 years. I think our wide receiver room is elite. I think Michael Pittman Jr., hopefully he gets a good contract, because I think he is elite. And I think when you've got that elite around him, I think Daniel Jones is fine. I think he is good enough to take us there, but it's got to be working, and they've got to not shit the bed.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I wasn't too annoyed last night. I really wasn't. It was, as I said when I first come on, it was a great learning experience.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think a lot of Colts fans have managed to sort of, because regardless of how you want to say they got there or however they're favored or whatever, they are the reigning dynasty in the AFC. It's as simple.
Absolutely, and they're not dead. I know they're 6-5 now, aren't they?
No, and they have one of the best tight ends to ever do it. They have one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it.
You don't win a Lombardi in September, October, November. You need to be in the pack. December, January comes, and then you're through.
Exactly. So what you're saying is, when it comes to the AFC Championship game, when we play the Chiefs again, it's going to be us smashing them.
that and perhaps we peaked a little too early, but that comes with experience. Again, as we look around the league, I'm very, very pissed off that the Patriots are doing well again.
Just these can't let us have anything, can they? Just like the whiny franchise.
God, or whichever one you believe in up there or down there, I'm not going to judge. What have they done to deserve? Like, it just makes no sense, does it?
I've got my opinions that I'm guessing Robert Kraft sold his soul to the devil a long time ago, mate.
That's fair.
But you know, just Chiefs Patriots cheat to win. It's all the same to me.
But
go on.
Obviously, I know you're doing your look ahead show Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But that's an easy win.
An easy win. Go on then.
I'm expecting 28 points.
I mean, I'm hoping this game's put a bit of a rocket under the arse to say.
What was JT's final figures yesterday?
Yeah, I think he got one big run, mate. That's all I can tell you.
Hold on, I'm just typing in. "16 carries for 58 yards. That, and as I said, I think there was 4 or 5 opportunities to have a drive where we needed to kill that clock, and you kill the clock with that, man.
That's it. The passing it on 1st and 10 when we're back up on our own goal line, it just gave me Carson Wentz and Frank Reich flashbacks of why we're trying that. Just run. Even if you get stopped, do you know what? Even if you get stopped, run again. Just kill some time off the clock.
So I'm not very good at mathematics. That's 3.6 yards a carry.
The crazy thing is, mate, Jonathan Taylor, and they have all the data and analytics in the world to do this, right? Jonathan Taylor, I think I worked it out after Atlanta. Every 22 attempts is a Jonathan Taylor touchdown.
No.
Yeah. Every 22 attempts is a Jonathan Taylor touchdown. Essentially, that's what it works out. He's like EPA or touchdown. One of the math nerds that are better at it than me has worked it out. So you have that as a front office, as a head coach. You go, right, every 20-second attempt we run it with Jonathan Taylor, he more likely is going to get a touchdown. So you at least go, right, we've got to attempt about 20 odd runs here. Because the moment we gave the ball to Jonathan Taylor, he busted it out for 60 yards.
Yep.
And then we just went, nah, JT, you just don't play anymore, mate.
But I don't think it helps that there's not, behind him, there's not much there, is there?
Unfortunately.
And maybe
Abdul is a nice person, and I think Giddens really hasn't lived up to his 3rd round pick that we spent on him. Was he 3rd round? Maybe later. I might be getting that wrong.
4 or 5, I think.
5, yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah. Anyway, he's still learning. He's still young. He's only just come out of college. I think the last thing, because we're approaching about an hour here. I know you've joined us, but the last couple of things, just for me, Robert, it's a speed bump that feels all a bit too familiar.
I get that, but this isn't the same team as last year, and it's not the Carson Wentz. It's not the Phillip Rivers. It's not every other old man that's coming and taking a paycheck.
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett. I'm missing. Who else am I missing?
Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco.
Yes, Flacco, and the one that from the Raiders, the moustache, Minshew, Gardner Minshew.
Yeah. He's on the Chiefs now, isn't he?
Yes, yeah, I see him on the sidelines yesterday. But this isn't that. This is, we've got a purpose, and I do believe there's a direction here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's why I think the Texans. I think it will be 28 points easy.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are just a playoff team, aren't they? And like you say, a good learning curve, I think, for this team. And worst case scenario, we're not losing. What have we got left? We're not losing 6 in a row now. Do you know what I mean? It's just
mate, three more wins, and you're in the playoffs. Did you watch the game on Channel 5 last night? Because I just see there was
I watched it. So I watched it on DAZN, and again, I don't want to bore everyone with my Tony Romo analysis, but the guy's just a fucking cowboy.
Mate, so first time I watched Channel 5, they had Dermot O'Leary presenting.
Yeah.
Who was jumping around like a little child. They had Sam Quek, the hockey Olympic player, who's a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, of course.
Osi Minura, and then they had Mikel Antonio on. But then they had like competitions on during it, and they had some Chiefs fans and Colts fans, and they had 8 quarterbacks, and the quiz was name all of them that have won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Colts fan chose Peyton Manning on the 4th one. Didn't even know Eli Manning had won a quarter. Like, it was the level of knowledge, not just of the kind of the fans there in the quiz, but the whole standard. It was like watching NFL UK 20 years ago. Sorry, it was like watching Sky Sports 20 years ago. It was back to basics. It was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
Like the NFL fans in the UK aren't there anymore. They know the positions. They know what's going on. Like, let's keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And I think we need to be better as a NFL community to keep pushing, because I don't want us to go back to, oh, this is a punt. Oh, this is a touchdown.
Yeah.
We're past that. We should be, as a community, looking at schemes and devices, and it was a hard watch.
And this is, maybe we can get together and do a full episode on atmosphere, building and stuff. But honestly, the Berlin game, mate. Now, I've not been to the London game, so I can't speak for London games. But from what I've been told,
not very good.
The Berlin game, unreal. The atmosphere, unreal. Lloyd's going on, fans there early at events. The Colts essentially locked down the city. It was.
But Germans do things properly.
As well, exactly, and I think maybe a bit like the Channel 5 coverage, the Sky Sports coverage. I believe it's been on Channel 4 at times. The rights are being sold everywhere for it now.
Yeah, but that's the London games are so expensive now that they're getting the day trippers. They're getting, wouldn't it be nice to go and, we're in London, they've I used to get a season ticket for like 70 quid for 4 games. And it's 100, 150 quid for a single game now. And I think they're pricing the average, like, I've got no interest in paying 150 quid to watch Jaguars versus the Rams or Cardinals. I've got no, like, and I think there's, the love of the game has dwindled in me for the last few years, just because it's
been tough sledding.
Like even some of the, even like down to the umpiring now and the way it's officiated, it's heartbreaking. But all we want to see is good football. And as a Colts fan, I think we're getting at least 30, 40 minutes of that a game.
Yeah,
from the 60 minutes, and it's really coming together. Whereas we've sat here over the years and kind of lambasted. Have we sat and watched 3.5 hours of that. Whereas at least we've got some really good skill and game makers in it. It's making it a bit of fun again.
I mean, we've never seen, and up until this season, we've never done this when the Colts have won a season opener. So that's a win.
Maybe it was me taking a step back, mate. Maybe it was me.
We've just been going over an hour now, so before I let Robbie go, I'm going to get your score prediction because you think it's going to be easy. But I do have one last question for you, mate. Are you going Neville Southall? Or are you going David Seaman?
We've got a week left, and as soon as Monday morning comes, mate, this thing's going. Off in Movember, raising awareness, keeping the faith.
Cause. Yeah, fantastic cause, raising awareness for. Yeah. Is it testicular cancer, Movember?
It started off as that, and then it went on to a mental health. So it's a little bit of all men's health, and we're big on the mental health side of things.
Excellent. Have you got a charity page or?
No, mate, not raising money this year because I know there's a lot of people struggling.
Yeah.
So we're just doing it just to it winds the misses up. It winds the misses up.
Yeah.
But it's good just because it opens up them conversations as well.
So last but not least then, mate, and again, nice to see you. Your prediction sounds a bit like one of my predictions.
Mate, I'm for 52-6.
52-6. Done. The show is done. Thanks everyone for joining us. Chris, thanks for commenting. Robbie, nice to see you again. And join us all on Thursday when we will get more of a breakdown of the Colts and a preview to Robbie's 52-6 win over T.Y. Hilton's Dogs, the Houston Texans. I hope it's the Texans.